Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
What is going on and how you guys all doing tonight? This is the Club of the Man 1993 and I'm here for a couple baseball news videos. Now, I did post, I think, a couple recent ones with like retirement for Steven Strasburg and the unfortunate death also of Sean Burroughs recently. I haven't really talked about any like transactions or injuries though in a bit. So I'm going to try to get those caught up tonight. Now, originally, this list was a lot longer. I had the minor transactions, and then I had the more major transactions in the separate lists. But because of how behind I am, and just how much time I really have anymore, I decided just to cut back the list to just a handful. A few of, like, the bigger ones that are a little more noteworthy to talk about. All these people who signed, like, minor league deals and then, like, opted out and whatnot. And it's just like, I'd rather just, just to save time, just talk about the more important stuff. So that's kind of what I'm going to do from here on out with baseball videos. Unless they get a little more hotter or something like that, in my opinion. But since we last did a transactions video, which I believe the last one was towards the end of spring training, there's a little bit to catch up on. So, I got 9 transactions here that I briefly want to talk about. Starting off with last year's Cy Young Award winner, Blake Snell, who did find himself a new home in the end. Back on March the 19th, he signed just a 2-year deal with the San Francisco Giants. $62 million that allows him to opt out, of course, of the first season of the contract. He can go back on the market for an even bigger deal. That definitely added some depth for sure, including a runner-up of Logan Webb for the Giants also. And it definitely seemed like a nice lock there, as of course, Snell was definitely one of the best pitchers in the league. Unfortunately, though, right now, Snell is actually injured. And before his injury, he actually was like 0-3 with like an 11.57 ERA. It was pretty ugly. Again, don't know if it was because again he was injuries or because he got a later start to the season since he stayed on the free agent market till mid to late March. But yeah, not really the best move so far for the Giants. I mean, if this keeps up, you could see Snell maybe move on and use his opt-out clause to test free agency again next offseason. But I don't know if he just couldn't get the money that he wanted or what it was. But yeah, he ended up signing just a brief little 2-year deal for $62 million with the Giants. Whatever he was asking for, I guess he just could not get it. But Blake Snell is going to be a Giant at least for a portion for at least 1 year. Maybe 2. We'll see though what happens. Hopefully though he turns around when he gets back. So there's that one. The second one is JD Martinez, former Dodger, signed with the New York Mets a couple days later on March the 22nd. He agreed to just a 1-year deal, $12 million as well. He did, I think, briefly go down to the minors or get extended spring training just to get some at-bats in before big league camp. And so far, he hasn't done too bad. He has 2 homers. He only has like 70-some at-bats, 2 homers, 9 RBIs. I think he has like around a 300 batting average. So, still 36. Still can contribute. So he's with the Mets for the year. Maybe he could be a trade deadline acquisition if the Mets are not in the playoffs. But he's got something to take. Last year with the Dodgers, he did well. Of course, he did spend some time on the injured list though last year as well, which did limited him a little bit. But he still has some left in the tank. He's still definitely a valuable bat to anybody's lineup. So that was a good signing there by the Mets. A big extension we also got right before the start of the regular season was the Dodgers signing their catcher Will Smith to a 10-year extension, which runs through 2033, guarantees of $140 million with no opt-outs. Smith will get $30 million sign bonuses, a salary of $13.55 million in 2024, $13 million from 2025 to 2027, $9.5 million from 2028 to 2032, and then $9.95 million in 2023. And a couple other little details there that I'm not completely sure about. But yeah, definitely one of the higher paid catchers for sure. And his glove work has gotten strong grades. He's definitely one of the better offensive hitting catchers in the league. So Dodgers, they got the money. Why not lock him up long term? So again, he will be there. We with the Dodgers probably for most, if not the rest of his career, because it's 10 years. He just turned 29, so he'll be 39 when the deal runs out. Unless something else happens, we'll have to wait and see. Some not so exciting news, unfortunately. Pablo Sandoval, longtime Giant, did sign a non-roster deal with the Giants this spring training. Unfortunately, though, he did hit 250 in 31 play appearances in spring training. But of course, he did was willing to play in the minors to get back to the majors, as this was his comeback. Sandoval has not played in the majors since 2021 with the Braves. Of course, it did not happen. He was released, and then he now is heading over to the Atlantic League, where he will spend the season this year. That's been a bummer for sure. Since Sandoval originally left the Giants and went to the Red Sox, his career has taken a hit. It was just, horrible. And then from parts of the 2017 and 2020 season, he was back with the Giants, and he appeared in 69 games for the Braves in 2021, and has since reappeared in the majors as well. He also played in the Mexican League in 2022, and then played winter ball in his native Venezuela and in Puerto Rico as well. So he's 37 years old. He still has some desires to play. Maybe next year we'll see. He could get some bats in the majors. We'll have to wait and see. But it still might be a time where the big panda might be done, unfortunately. I mean, he may have to finish his career elsewhere, but as far as, in Major League Baseball, not too sure. So there's that one there. The Pirates, actually, speaking of the Giants, did acquire a former Giants prospect, Joey Bart, back at the beginning of April. The Pirates acquired him for minor league right-hander Austin Strickland. He at one point, of course, he was the second overall pick in the 2018 draft. He originally was basically a shoo-in, people thought, to replace Buster Posey when he retired. But unfortunately, though, he hasn't quite lived up to the expectations, and they seem to be moving on. The Pirates, though, of course, could use the help from Joey Bart, who seemingly has done all right so far since joining the Pirates. They originally were going to have Endy Rodriguez be their main catcher this year, but unfortunately, he suffered an injury, a UCL injury, came out for the entire year. And then, of course, Henry Davis. We'll get to Henry in a second. But they also had Jason DeLay, but unfortunately, DeLay has right knee inflammation, and he is now on the DL as well. But this is a nice acquisition by the Pirates. I did like this. Hopefully, Joey Bart can, live up to the hype with the Buccos. Just a little, hey, he's still around here. But Johnny Cueto apparently is still around. He signed a minor league deal with the Texas Rangers back on April 23rd. As of this moment, Cueto has not yet, though, pitched in the big leagues. He's now 38 years old. He injured his biceps during his first start of the season. last year and went on the injured list and missed the first half. He returned around the All-Star break, and he started in 10 of 13 appearances, and he had a career worst 6.02 ERA, surrendering 17 home runs, averaging nearly 3 per 9 innings. Ouch. Again, he has not yet made any appearances on the main roster. I know, of course, the Rangers do have some injured pitchers, such as Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, and Tommy Maile as well. And probably we're hoping for some veteran experience as well. As of now, though, it looks like his services hasn't really been needed yet, though, unfortunately, on the main roster. He's still in the minors. But maybe he'll have it for Johnny. If not, definitely the days of Johnny Cueto's MLB career are definitely numbered. Either way, though, he's had a very successful career for sure. Some big news for back on April 30th. Former Rookie of the Year and former MVP of the shortened 2020 season, Jose Abreu. Back on April 30th, it was announced that Abreu will be going down to AAA because of his slow start. Abreu, who's 37 years old, signed a 3-year, $58.5 guaranteed deal going into the 2023 season. Obviously, Abreu wasn't going to quite be able to put on the performances he's had with the White Sox, but, still reasonable. Things, though, have not gone well. Even last year, he had some ups and downs. And then this year, apparently, he was starting with an .099 batting average. And basically, he's just going down to AAA for a little bit just to try to, get back on track. I don't know if it's working. I've heard rumors they may be bringing him back soon. But I've also heard rumors he hasn't looked sharp in AAA either, which that's a little concerning for the Astros, who have already had a rough season the way it is, despite the fact that they did hold on to Jose Altuve, and they still have some guys like Alex Bregman and Kyle Tucker in there as well. It hasn't been a good start for the Astros. And unfortunately, hearing this news kind of blows as well. When was the last time you had a former MVP get in the minors? And he's still, considered an everyday player. Ouch. I think the last time, a really good player had to go back to the minors, I would have to think either Jeff Francoeur, Kyle Schwarber, remember briefly went back. And also, I think there was one point when he was with the Reds, Edwin Encarnacion took a step back as well, went back to AAA briefly just to, light himself back on fire again. But yeah, hopefully Abreu can get back on track and come back and contribute. Because even last year, his season with the Astros last year, he looked pretty inconsistent from what I saw. Back to the Pirates for a second. With the acquisition of Joey Bart, it did announce, also, besides Joey Bart, the Pirates also had Yasmani Grandal, who they signed this past offseason, come off the 10-day injured list. And to make room for him, they have sent down former number one draft pick, first round draft pick at least, Henry Davis, went back to AAA back on May the 3rd. He actually was the first overall pick in the 2021 draft. And he spent most of the season last year, his first stint in the big leagues, mostly playing right field. He hit just .213, had some homers, had a decent spring training for sure. And then there was talks they were going to actually put him behind the plate. Unfortunately, though, it just has not worked out. He has a batting average of 162, and then a few other things as well. So they do seem like that he might need a little bit of work. So he'll head back to the minors to get better. Obviously, probably get back in the groove. When you bounce back and forth from the outfield and then back to playing catcher, one of the roughest positions for sure. I'm pretty sure it can kind of throw you off. So hopefully Henry Davis won't be gone for too long. But then again, we do have a very crowded lineup for the Pirates. In the catcher spot, again, Jason DeLay is out. We have Joey Bart. We have Yasmani Grandal, Henry Davis. Some of those guys can definitely DH. Those are some solid hitters for sure. You want to have their bats in the lineup. So maybe it will bounce there. So, yeah, that one. And finally, one of the biggest shockers, I would say, that came out of nowhere. Well, I don't know. Maybe I thought this could be happening later on down the line. But the Marlins ended up trading last year's batting champion, Luis Arraez, as they traded him to the Padres and will be receiving cash considerations as well. It'll lower the Padres' financial hit and give them a bit more breathing room under the luxury tax threshold or something like that. So Arraez is heading to the Padres for Dylan Hurd, Jacob Marcy, Nathan Martellella, and as well as Woo Suk Go. Wasn't he one of the relievers that they signed? I can't remember for sure. Again, definitely one of the best pure contact hitters. I'm not sure, though, why the Padres would grab him. I mean, yes, this is probably... let me see here. I guess they're saying that they think that they could have him bounce a little bit back and forth because the Padres still have a very crowded infield. They have now Arraez, they have Jake Cronenworth, Xander Bogaerts, A-Sung Kim, and of course Manny Machado as well. Apparently also they did this because also they mentioned here how Manny Machado has been limited to DH recently for a little bit because of the fact he had that elbow surgery this past offseason. So that could have helped out a little bit just in case, but I don't know. Again, that's a very crowded infield. I do wonder, what... I haven't really paid too much attention to the Padres this year because I don't really expect them to contend. But I wonder if they've moved some more people around. I mean, remember, they did lose Juan Soto for a trade this past offseason. Again, they already had to move Fernando Tatis Jr. from shortstop to right field. I guess they're just rotating around, giving some of those guys DH time. But like I said, Manny Machado probably is getting more DH time because of his elbow injury. But I believe he was hitting .299 before the trade. I think he's hit .333 since with the Padres. But yeah, I guess the Padres maybe still want to contend a little bit. That's why they grabbed the batting champ. Marlins, of course, as always, who is off to a horrible start, tend to easily go into the fire sales. I always think it's going to be a long time until we see the Marlins ever beat another contending team again. Again, we probably had it, though, the closest whenever Jose Fernandez was alive. But even like guys like Yelich, Stanton, and all of them all say, or even Ozuna, had they not lost Jose Fernandez, they probably would have still been there. But it is what it is. Arraez is going over to the Padres. And with that being said, guys, that's just all the transactions I briefly wanted to touch on. What are your guys' thoughts on these transactions as well? I know some of them have worked out so far. Some haven't worked out, especially that Blake Snell deal. But hopefully once Snell gets back from his injury, hopefully he can turn that around. Make sure you guys leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. And be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at TheClubWithTheMan93. You may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at TheClubWithTheMan1993. Until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. Have a great rest of your night. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!